Okay, here we are, fueling up for the journey. Want to get to the destination. Don't want to run out of gas. You ever run out of gas? I ran out of gas. I was going to actually speak somewhere, and I had taken what was it that I took? I took something, and I put it not on my dashboard, but I put it over the gas gauge, and I just didn't notice that it was getting low. And so I'm on this way to speak, and my car starts sputtering, and I'm like, oh no, something's going wrong with the engine. This car what's going on? And I was like, oh man, I'm not going to get to the meeting, and I ran out of gas. So I had to call the people at the meeting that I was going to and tell them that I was on the side of the road out of gas, and that I was going to go try to get some gas. And they said, well, don't worry about it. We'll bring you some gas. It was just a crazy day, at least a little bit humiliating. And the guy that brought me the gas, he was much older than me. And he said, I've never run out of gas. So hopefully we're not going to run out of gas for fueling up our daily fuel. So we get enough to keep us going and get us to our destination. We're in 2 Corinthians chapter 10. By the humility and the gentleness of Christ, I appeal to you. I, Paul, who am timid when face to face with you, but bold when towards you went away. So they're sort of accusing Paul of being a keyboard warrior, right? What's a keyboard warrior? It's somebody who on social media, writes all kinds of stuff and real strong and real heavy and real critical and real name calling, but when you see them in person, they never even make mention of those things. And so that's what they're saying about the Apostle Paul, that he's when he's away, they're saying, that he's timid. He's timid. He's never, he's timid when he's with us. But boy, he gets away, and he just writes us these crazy letters. They're coming down on Paul. It's a trick of the devil, to turn friends on friends. Happens all the time. Gets very confusing. And he said, I beg you that when I come, I may not have to be as bold as I expect towards some people who think that we live by the standard of this world. Paul was being accused of taking advantage of people, taking advantage of hospitality, taking advantage of resources. When the Apostle Paul, he was a tent maker. He always worked with his hands in order to preach the gospel. And if he wasn't working, it was the rest of the team that was getting support and supporting him. Now, Paul says that the worker is worthy of his wages, so he certainly could have done it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being in ministry and getting compensated for it. But the Apostle Paul never took compensation, and yet they're accusing him of, living by the standards of the world, and just the devil. For though we live in this world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not weapons of the world. On the contrary, we have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. This is a fascinating verse. Paul said, we take every thought captive to make it obedient to Christ. This is a discipline, I guess, that happens moment to moment in our lives, because thoughts, temptations, all these kinds of things, very often they come like arrows, and they just shoot right into our mind, just shoot right into our thoughts. And sometimes they come from nowhere. Where did these thoughts come from? Where do some of these ideas come from? Where do some of these feelings come from? You ever have that, like a feeling just come over you, and then all of a sudden that feeling is ruling your whole internal life, and now you're believing all kinds of things and making all kinds of things up and arguing with people in your head. The apostle said that we take every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ. And so I see that as these arrows that are shot at us, go right into our mind. Well, we're supposed to grab that arrow, pull it out of our mind, put it in front of our eyes and ask, where did this thought come from? Where did this emotion come from? Where did this accusation come from? Where did this idea come from? Well, did it come from the flesh, my insecurities? Did it come from the devil who's trying to destroy me? Did it come from the Lord? Did it come from the circumstances around me, that there are certain things going on and now all of a sudden that's just sort of jogged my thoughts into, giving me a thought that's been created by the environment around me? Well, let's take every one of those, and if it's a wrong thought that's going to turn us into some sort of stronghold and set itself up against the knowledge of God, let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. We carry these things around not necessarily for minutes or hours, but sometimes weeks and months and years. And so we will be ready to punish every act of disobedience once your obedience is complete. He said, you're judging by appearances. Well, we do judge by appearances. It's kind of funny, isn't it, judging by appearances? They say you don't judge a book by the cover. I do. I do. And I will admit to, even on Amazon, going to buy a book, and it's the same book by the same author, but one has a cover that's attractive, then the other one has a cover that's not attractive, and then I buy the attractive one. It's the same thing with me when I go to the drugstore and I go to buy something and they have a generic brand right next to it, and I read the back to see what ingredients they have, and they have the same exact ingredients and the same exact percentages, and I go back and forth, which one should I buy? And I think I'm going to trust the brand. Judging by appearances, just by the generic one, it's the same exact thing. If anyone is confident that they belong to Christ, they should consider again that we belong to Christ just as much as they do. We're so confident that, I'm hearing from the Lord, but we don't grant that other people might be hearing from the Lord and serving the Lord. So even if I boast somewhat freely about the authority the Lord has given me for building you up rather than tearing you down, I'm not going to be ashamed of it. The Lord put me in this position. I don't want to seem to be trying to frighten you with my letters. For some say his letters are weighty and forceful, but in person he's unimpressive and his speaking amounts to nothing. Such people should realize that what we are in our letters when we are absent, we will be the same in our actions when we're present. We try to be the same. Letters, boy, you ever get offended by like a text or something and you find out there was no emotion or anything behind it at all, and you're all like offended by it. It's writing can be tricky. We do not dare to classify or compare ourselves with some who commend themselves. When they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they're not wise. The comparison is, who am I standing next to Jesus? We, however, we will not boast beyond proper limits, but will confine our boasting to the sphere of service God himself has assigned us to, a sphere that also includes you. We're apostles, we're teachers. And so we're not going to try to be something that we're not, but what we are is what we are. And so we can't change that. We are not going too far in our boasting, as would be the case if we had not come to you, for we did get as far as you with the gospel of Christ. Neither did we go beyond our limits by boasting of work done by others. Our hope is that as your faith continues to grow, our sphere of activity among you will greatly expand. As you're growing, like we would like to be part and see this thing expand beyond Corinth, so that we can preach the gospel in the regions beyond you. Let's pull it together so that our church can multiply and go other places, not just stay here comparing ourselves to each other and arguing all the time. For we don't want to boast about work already done in somebody else's territory. We're not going to talk, somebody else, look what's going on over there. Well, it's got nothing to do with us. Let's just do what we're supposed to do and be faithful with it. But let the one who boasts, boast in the Lord. For it's not the one who commends himself who's approved, but the one whom the Lord commends. All right. So, we don't boast about ourselves, but if the Lord blesses the work of our hands, the Lord blesses the work of our hands. What can we do? So unfortunate stuff, right, going on between brothers and sisters. So we'll continue with this with another chapter or so, but it's pretty interesting stuff. It's the same all over. Same all over. Hey, bless you guys. Love you. Let's continue through 2 Corinthians.